Dr. Doreen 𝗂𝗓𝗂𝗧 is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism. Doreen 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗧.
Dr. 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗧.
Dr. Doreen 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗧.
Dr. Doreen 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗧 is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Lisa said, why did Asperger's get taken off the diagnosis?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it isn't actually taken off the diagnosis in that sense. We are supposed to diagnose autistic disorder Asperger's type. That's part of the diagnosis that exists right now. Most people don't do that. I don't know, people haven't been trained to diagnose properly, but so it is still a classification that you can give, and I think the whole purpose of it was once we had the severity numbers in place, like the 1, 3, 2, and all that showing level of support, they removed Asperger's as a separate diagnosis. And I think a big reason behind it was in order to give access to funding for individuals who had previously been diagnosed with Asperger's. There was a big kind of dilemma because a lot of people who had Asperger's were not being able to access funding in schools or health insurance just because of the way the law had been written. So now that it is part of the autistic disorder kind of spectrum, they are able to access funding.
And Parker said that he thinks, and I know a lot of people who say this, that the guy that it's named after, Asperger, was found to be a Nazi and that there was a lot of backlash about that. And I'm sure that, that might have played a little bit of a role, but people still embrace that phrase. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like the community said, oh, I'm not going to call myself that anymore. So I don't know, Parker. But it nonetheless, that was found to be the case, that he was someone who was not, he was a Nazi. R says, Temple Grandin says to find your child's strength and build on it. Yes. So my option is custom tailor and build a career to suit them best. Nurture their growth and learning that will be required for that career. Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
And if they like to sew, I mean, there are all kinds of training programs that have that kind of a situation for sewing. And I will say that we've had a fabulous young man who was based out of Utah, I'm not going to be able to remember his name right now, who wanted to be a fashion designer. Mm-hmm. And he started his own line. In fact, cie__𝗁𝗀 wore one of his dresses for her wedding.
Yes,
She met with him, because she came to me and she said, Shannon, I want this very particular dress, but I want it to be made by somebody on the spectrum. I said, oh, I have the guy for you. And she said, I knew you would. And they had this lovely, they're still friends. He made this beautiful dress for her because she loves pink.
Yes.
And it had these pink flowers on it. So nurture it. I agree with Temple. All of Temple's books really hone in on that, about how to nurture, how to find your child's particular interest.
Absolutely. I mean, look at cie, for instance, and the jewelry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
there's
just a
another
perfect example.
Yes. Did you know that cie now she recently has moved out of her parents' home. Her mom was preparing a home for her and setting up a team for the last few years, and she finally has just moved. I don't know if she's out full time or just they're doing it a little bit at a time. It's so inspirational to watch. They've got a documentary coming out called My Name is Siri. Not to be confused with when you talk to your phone. Okay. What about gaming or computer researching or testing? Does anyone know of something like this in Texas? And I was looking to see, because I can't remember where Picasso Einstein is, but I'm sure that there is something, and we'll put that out to people if anybody knows of anything. There is Biddy and Bose in North Carolina that is now a nationwide franchise. Wonderful. Nice. Or Sport Facts and ways that this can become a job. Sports facts, I would think
so that's like another thing. For instance, like you look at these ESPN shows, and believe me, they have a crew of researchers working on gathering sports facts. So, those are the places that you don't want to start with something as big as, let's say, ESPN, but there are so many podcasts on sports issues and, web shows and various things that you might want to reach out and see if they need a researcher.
Wonderful. Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.